Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are tackling one of those topics that just seems to come up again and again, really persistent, often frustrating. We're talking about that stubborn belly fat, especially for women navigating midlife, say, over 40.
It's a huge area of concern, and yeah, frustration is definitely the right word for many.
And this frustration, it fuels a whole market, right? An explosion of products promising targeted fixes. One name we kept seeing in the source material, and it's all over social media, is this Sumatra Slim Belly Tonic.
We see things like this pop up frequently.
For so many listeners, I think the core issue is that what used to work maybe in their 20s or 30s for managing weight, it just feels totally ineffective now.
Absolutely, that's a common story.
So they start searching maybe for like a cheat code, something like this tonic.
Understandably so. When the old rules don't seem to apply, you look for new ones.
Exactly. So our mission today is pretty straightforward. We've pulled together an evidence-aware guide. We want to cut through the marketing hype.
Get down to the facts.
Yeah, look hard at the biology, what's really going on. Analyze, okay, what are the realistic ways something like this could work? And crucially, talk safety.
Which is paramount.
Always. So the big question really is this. Okay, let's unpack this. Can a simple tonic, a powder you mix with water, actually tackle these really complex biological shifts that happen with aging?
That's really the only place to start, isn't it? Because honestly, before anyone spends their money on a supplement, they need to grasp the challenge they're facing.
Right. Understand the landscape first.
Exactly. It's absolutely essential to get this.
Yeah.
Weight management, getting tougher after 40 isn't, a failure of willpower. It's biology.
Right.
It's the result of several fundamental natural processes just converging. And they basically slow down your whole system, your engine, all at once.
Okay, so let's dig into that. If someone feels like their diet or their exercise hasn't radically changed, why does the body at 45 react so differently compared to, say, 25? What are those big forces at play?
We've identified 5 key biological shifts from the sources. They really dictate this difference, and yeah, they are powerful.
Okay, what's the first one?
The first, and you could argue it's the most critical, is sarcopenia. Fancy word. But it just means the age-related loss of lean muscle mass.
Muscle loss, okay.
Yeah, and it starts subtly, maybe in your early 30s, but it really picks up speed if you're not actively fighting it with resistance training.
How significant is that, though? If you're losing muscle just naturally, how much does that actually slow down your metabolism, your RMR?
Oh, it's highly significant. Muscle is metabolically active tissue. It burns way more calories at rest than fat does.
Right.
So if you lose, let's say, 5, maybe 10 pounds of muscle over a decade, which isn't unusual if you're inactive, your RMR, the calories you burn just sitting around, drops noticeably.
So you have to eat less just to stay the same weight.
Precisely. You have to eat significantly less just to maintain, which makes that maintenance phase feel like this constant uphill battle.
Yeah.
Your engine is just idling slower and needing less fuel.
Got it. Okay, what's number 2?
The second major force, that's the hormonal shift. We're talking perimenopause, menopause, specifically declining estrogen levels.
Okay, how does estrogen play into fat?
Well, lower estrogen is intrinsically linked to a change in where your body decides to store fat. Maybe before it was more hips and thighs. Now, the body tends to shift storage centrally, right around the abdomen, the visceral area.
Ah, the dreaded belly fat zone.
Exactly. And it's not just about looks. That visceral fat is metabolically riskier.
That makes sense. It explains why so many women say, I'm doing everything right, but the weight just sticks to my middle.
Okay.
Third factor.
The third one is really the cumulative effect of the first two, plus lifestyle. That's overall lower RMR. You've got less muscle. Maybe you're slightly less active naturally as you age, standing less, walking a bit slower. All adds up. The total calories you burn throughout the entire day just decrease, maybe significantly. Then factor 4 is a decline in insulin sensitivity. Your body just becomes a bit less responsive to insulin.
So it doesn't handle sugar as well.
Right. It's less efficient at getting glucose from your blood into your cells for energy.
Yeah.
And when cells resist taking up glucose, the body's more inclined to store that circulating energy as fat.
Creates a cycle then.
It can, yeah. A cycle of blood sugar ups and downs and potentially more fat storage.
And finally, you mentioned we can't ignore those invisible life factors.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Factor 5 covers the subtle but insidious changes in sleep, stress, and NEAT. NEAT is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, basically. Fidgeting, standing, everyday movement.
Okay.
Chronic stress pumps up cortisol. Cortisol signals the body. Store fat, especially centrally. Poor sleep. That messes up your hunger hormones, ghrelin and leptin, makes you crave quick energy, usually sugary stuff, the next day. And NEAT often just drifts downwards. All these small things, day after day, consistently nudge your energy balance towards gaining weight.
Wow. Okay, so that's a pretty massive biological headwind you've described. Muscle loss, hormones, stress, sleep.
It really is.
Given all that working against you, it's suddenly very clear why someone would reach for a product like this tonic that promises an easy fix.
Absolutely. It makes perfect sense emotionally.
So let's pivot then. What exactly are these belly tonics, like the Sumatra Slim one, claiming they can do against these forces?
Well, at their core, they're usually powders or maybe liquids, blends, really, often heavy on botanical extracts, sometimes vitamins, minerals thrown in.
And the marketing story is?
The story is typically about, holistic metabolism boosting, targeted fat burning, maybe resetting your metabolic clock. Big promises.
Okay, big promises. But let's get real. What's the critical caveat here? The big grain of salt we need when looking at any supplement in this space.
The absolute critical thing to remember is that supplements are supportive tools. They are not the main drivers of change in your body composition.
Not magic bullets.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
They just aren't powerful enough to completely bypass sarcopenia or totally override hormonal fat distribution patterns. They're meant to be adjuncts, additions to a structured lifestyle plan.
Okay, that's a really important distinction. So assuming a tonic is well formulated, has decent ingredients in it, what are the plausible ways it might actually help someone's efforts, even if modestly? You mentioned 5 realistic mechanisms.
Right. Let's break those down. First, there's mild thermogenesis.
Okay, what's that?
Certain botanical ingredients, think compounds in green tea, maybe chili peppers, they can slightly raise your core body temperature. This means you burn slightly more calories.
How slate is slate?
We're talking modest effects. Tiny, really, on its own. But look, if you're trying to create a small calorie deficit, maybe shave off 50 or 100 calories a day, that little bit can add up, especially if you're also increasing your movement.
Okay, so a gentle nudge to the calorie burning side. What's the second angle?
Second, and this might actually be the most valuable contribution for many, is appetite control.
Ah, managing hunger.
Exactly. If a tonic has ingredients like certain fibers or compounds that make you feel fuller, or maybe blunt cravings for sweets, that helps you stick to a calorie deficit.
Which is key.
It's fundamental. Regardless of your age or biology, fat loss ultimately comes down to that energy balance, consuming fewer calories than you burn, making that easier by reducing hunger. That's a significant help. Third potential mechanism, glycemic support. We just talked about insulin sensitivity declining after 40, right?
Yeah.
So ingredients that help stabilize your blood sugar levels can prevent those big energy spikes and crashes that often drive hunger and cravings. Smoother blood sugar usually means fewer intense cravings.
Okay, that makes sense. And number 4 often involves inflammation.
Yes, inflammation and gut health.
Yeah.
There's growing awareness of how chronic, low-grade inflammation really messes with metabolic health and just your ability to be consistent.
How does a tonic help there?
Well, if it contains ingredients that support a healthy gut microbiome or maybe help lower systemic inflammation, users often report just feeling better overall. Less bloated, maybe clearer-headed. And feeling better makes it way easier to stick to your diet and exercise plan.
Right, which brings us back to behavior again. If you feel better, you're more likely to actually do the things you need to do.
Exactly. Which leads perfectly into the 5th mechanism, which is subtle but really important. Energy and motivation.
Ah, so not directly burning fat.
But helping you do the things that burn fat. If the tonic genuinely improves your perceived energy levels or maybe sharpens your mental clarity a bit, you're just more likely to hit that workout or take the stairs or increase your meat. It's an indirect win, but it supports adherence, which is everything.
That's fascinating because if you connect all those dots, every single realistic mechanism you just described, from the tiny thermogenesis boost to the energy lift, it all seems to function by supporting your adherence to the core lifestyle habits.
Precisely.
The tonic isn't doing the heavy lifting for you. It's trying to make the actual heavy lifting, the exercise, the diet changes, a bit easier to maintain consistently.
That is the absolute key takeaway from the source material we reviewed. These products function as adjuncts. They're supportive tools. They might smooth the path a little, but they are absolutely not substitutes for the fundamental lifestyle changes needed, especially for women navigating midlife.
Okay, that's a very clear mandate. And it brings us perfectly to the action plan, because if someone listens to this and thinks, okay, a supportive nudge sounds useful, I might want to try a tonic, They absolutely need a structured plan. They can't just stir the powder and wait for magic.
No magic, just work. The tonic is useless without that foundation. And that foundation, based on the evidence, is built on 6 core drivers for long-term success.
What's step 1?
First, you absolutely must establish a baseline snapshot. Before you even open the tonic, take 1 week. Track your weight, yes, but also your waist circumference, your sleep quality, your general mood, and roughly what you're eating.
Why is that so important?
Because you need objective data. How else will you know if the product, or more likely your combined efforts, are actually working 2 or 3 months later? Feelings can be misleading.
Got it. Measure first. Okay, once they have that baseline, we have to tackle that biggest biological headwind you mentioned, muscle loss.
Which is why step 2 is non-negotiable. Resistance training, 2 to 3 times a week. This was called out explicitly in our sources as the single best metabolic lever you can pull after 40.
More important than cardio.
For fighting sarcopenia and boosting RMR, yes. Cardio is great for heart health. Definitely keep doing it. But lifting weights or using resistance bands, bodyweight exercises, that's what tells your body to maintain or even build that precious calorie-burning muscle mass. It directly counters sarcopenia.
Okay, resistance training is key. That means we also need to fuel that muscle properly.
Correct. Step 3 involves nutrition, specifically. Protein at every meal. Protein needs actually increase for women over 40, especially if they're active. Aim for about 20 to 30 grams of high-quality protein per meal.
Why so much?
It maximizes muscle protein synthesis, building, and repair. Plus, protein is incredibly satiating. It helps you feel fuller for longer, which naturally helps control overall calorie intake.
Yeah.
Big win-win. Fourth, we have to look beyond just food and exercise. Prioritize sleep and stress management. Remember cortisol and messed up hunger hormones.
Yeah, the fat storage signals.
Exactly. You have to treat sleep like it's non-negotiable metabolic medicine. If you're consistently sleeping poorly or under immense chronic stress, no tonic, no diet in the world is going to sustainably tackle that visceral fat. It just won't.
Okay, manage stress, protect sleep. Then, when they actually start taking the tonic, how long should they realistically give it before deciding if it's helping?
That brings us to step 5. Consistent use for 8 to 12 weeks. Fat loss is slow. Body composition changes are even slower. You need to use the product consistently for at least 2, probably 3 months to gauge any real effect.
And focus on more than the scale.
Definitely. Look at those non-scale victories you tracked in your baseline. How's your waist measurement? How do your clothes fit? How are your energy levels? The scale can jump around due to water weight and other factors. It doesn't tell the whole story.
Good point. And the final piece of advice tackles a common pitfall, right? Something people are tempted to do when they want fast results.
Yes. Step 6 is crucial. Avoid harsh caloric restriction. Please do not crash deny it. Very low-calorie diets might seem like a quick fix, but they are incredibly detrimental in midlife.
Why is that?
They accelerate muscle loss, the very thing you're trying to fight. They can worsen hormonal disruptions. They lower your RMR even further in the long run, setting you up for really rapid weight regain the moment you stop the extreme restriction. Slow, sustainable changes are the only way.
Okay, that's a comprehensive plan. Build the foundation first. Now, let's get into something really interesting and, frankly, really important. Safety and transparency.
Critical area.
We're often talking about natural extracts in these tonics, but natural doesn't automatically mean safe, does it? Especially when people might be taking prescription medications, which is common for adults.
Not at all. Natural does not equal safe. That's a dangerous assumption.
So what's the absolute non-negotiable checklist before someone even buys, let alone starts taking, any kind of tonic like this?
The first, absolutely non-negotiable step, consult your healthcare provider, period. If you are taking any regular medication.
Like what?
Oh, antidepressants, blood sugar drugs for type 2 diabetes, blood thinners like warfarin, thyroid medication, hormone replacement therapy. The list is long. Herbal extracts can have serious, even dangerous interactions.
Give an example.
Sure. Some compounds in weight loss blends might interfere with blood thinners, increasing bleeding risk. Others could potentially amplify the effects of blood sugar medication, leading to dangerously low blood sugar, hypoglycemia. You must discuss it with your doctor or pharmacist.
So it's not just about potential side effects of the tonic, but how it interacts with your existing meds and body chemistry.
That's exactly right. That leads to the second point. Do a full ingredient check. Look up every single ingredient listed. Some stimulants, sometimes used in natural metabolism boosters, can raise blood pressure or heart rate. That's risky if you have any underlying cardiovascular issues.
Be your own detective.
You have to be. And third, related to that, quality matters. The supplement industry, well, it's notoriously underregulated compared to pharmaceuticals.
Meaning?
Meaning you need to choose suppliers who are transparent. Look for clear labels listing exact dosages of each ingredient. Ideally, seek out products that show proof of third-party testing.
What does third-party testing tell you?
It gives you some assurance that what's claimed on the label is actually in the bottle at the stated amount, and that it's free from contaminants like heavy metals or undeclared substances. It's a layer of quality control.
Okay, doctor check, ingredient check, quality check. Got it. Now let's tackle that really common, maybe painful question head on. Will this tonic, or any tonic, actually fix that stubborn menopausal belly fat right on the abdomen?
Yeah, the source material is pretty realistic about this specific tough challenge. The thing is, since that midlife abdominal fat distribution is driven primarily by those powerful hormonal shifts, especially the decline in estrogen,
Right.
a tonic is unlikely to be the main solution. It might offer some mild assistance, perhaps with appetite control or reducing temporary bloating, making things feel a bit better.
But it's not tackling the root hormonal cause.
Not directly, no. The primary levers, the things that will actually make the biggest difference for hormonally driven abdominal fat, according to the evidence, are number 1, resistance training, number 2, getting consistent high protein intake, and number 3, medical guidance.
Medical guidance, meaning?
Meaning for some women, talking to their doctor about options like hormone therapy might be part of the picture. But the point is the tonic itself. It's not a frontline defense against that specific hormonal mechanism driving fat to the belly.
That really grounds the expectations, doesn't it? Okay, so let's try and crystallize all this for the listener. What does it all mean? What's the bottom line on products like Sumatra Slim Belly Tonic for women over 40 based on this deep dive?
The bottom line seems to be this. The product can potentially serve as a helpful support system, an adjunct, like we said. It might slightly help with appetite, maybe manage bloating, provide that tiny thermogenic nudge.
So it can kind of help bridge the gap.
Yeah, potentially bridge that gap between knowing what you should do, eat well, exercise, and actually feeling motivated or able to consistently do it.
And this is the big, but the lasting, visible change that most people are really looking for that is absolutely dictated by those fundamental habits we laid out.
Precisely. It really comes down to your consistency with resistance training, making sure you eat enough protein to support your muscle, and fiercely protecting your sleep and managing stress. Those are the pillars.
And remembering that safety and transparency aren't optional extras when choosing a supplement.
Absolutely mandatory. They're the entry fee just to consider using something like this. Non-negotiable.
Okay, that gives us a really clear sense of priority. So for our final provocative thought, let's focus on the ultimate conclusion we can draw from digging into all this source material.
Well, I think it comes down to this. For women over 40, tackling stubborn belly fat is genuinely a battle against multiple biological forces that are all converging at once. It's tough. And if you want lasting, visible results, that success hinges far, far more on your daily consistent habits, what you do in the gym, what's on your plate, how well you sleep, than it does on any single bottle of powder you might buy.
So the tonic's real value might be more subtle?
Perhaps. Ultimately, its true value, if it has one for an individual, might simply be providing a small psychological boost or a slight physical edge, like a bit more energy, fewer cravings, that makes it just, say, 10% easier for you to stick with those truly essential foundational habits day in and day out.
So less of a magic bullet, more of a habit support tool.
Exactly. Think of it as potentially a habit adherence tool, not a body composition transformer all on its own. The real transformation comes from the lifestyle.